What's up, everybody? It's me, Ronald Young Jr., and I just wanted to tell you that this review sounds a little bit angrier, and it has to do with the fact that I am still going through a bit of personal trauma, a little bit of personal tragedy, which I actually state in this review, and you'll hear it as it goes forward. But you'll also hear that I get a bit emotional, angry, a little teary, and I just wanted y'all to know that I did not lose my objectivity reviewing movie. I still feel like I successfully reviewed this movie and I feel the way that I feel about it. But I just wanted to let y'all know I'm okay. If I just pretended that this was a normal review and I didn't get a bit emotional, that it would be disingenuous. And for new listeners, you can go back and listen through the catalog and know that this is not just something that happens every review. But I still think it's a solid review in the Leaving the Theater canon. So support the Patreon and enjoy this week's review of If. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. Check. This is Ronald. All right. This is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing If. If, written and directed by John Krasinski, starring Cailey, Fleming, Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, Fiona Shaw, Alan Kim, Liza, Colon-Zayas, and Bobby Moynihan. And for a complete cast listing, as always, you can go to the link in our show notes. I am here by myself. I had a couple of opportunities to see. You know, it's weird. I was supposed to see this movie at a press screening earlier this week, but unfortunately I got the time wrong, so I showed up about 40 minutes into the movie. So I had to go and see this like old school, like pay for a ticket, walk in and get it. And to be honest with you, I regret buying a ticket to see this movie for multiple reasons. One, I don't think it's very good. So let's just start there. Let me just give you the premise of the film. The premise is there's this young lady who she is 12 years old, played by Cailey Fleming in the movie, and she suffers a trauma wherein her mother dies of cancer. And I know it's cancer, even though they don't mention it's cancer, because they do the typical cancer things in movies, which is you just see somebody and then all of a sudden you see them in a hospital looking regular, and then they cut to a scene with them wearing like a skull cap or something like that. So it's like, oh, okay, obviously this is cancer. And I remember watching this and thinking, oh, am I going to be able to handle this right now? Some of you may know, and I guess it feels like an appropriate time to just reveal. My mother is currently fighting endometrial cancer right now. We have her at home on hospice care, and seeing this on screen, it didn't necessarily hit me in the moment. I more like kind of scoffed and laughed to myself, like, okay, so we're going to do the trope. And it kind of just started to remind me of all the ways in which cancer is depicted in the movies, in the ways that they never capture the horror that is cancer and the horror that is watching someone suffer from cancer. And in this particular movie, once again, they did not do that. You know, they have this young lady at the hospital. She is interacting with the nurses. She is interacting with the doctors, all of that, wearing a visitor's badge. And I just don't think they get the actual I just think hospital depiction after the experiences that I've had in probably the last few months, maybe last year or so, it's hard for me to watch that and be like, y'all really nailed it on this one. I just don't think they did. So her mother dies of cancer, and then her father is in the hospital for heart surgery, and she's concerned that she's going to lose her father the way that she lost her mother. And that sets her off on her journey of discovery with these imaginary friends. Now, the plot is completely muddled. It does not make sense. This is more of an idea than it is a movie. It is a movie that it tricks you into thinking that it is magical and good based on the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack is brilliant. It is, at times it did almost convince me that it was magical and good. But they did a lot of that thing where they used a lot of the violins and the piano to create questions in the music where you're just like, it makes you lean forward. But you lean forward most of the movie. And once I figured out like kind of what the shtick was in it, I realized that this is essentially just Sixth Sense for children. And by me telling you that, I have effectively spoiled this movie, but I'm going to save you an hour and 44 minutes walking in and watching this. I like John Krasinski. I'm really rooting for him. I'm 100% rooting for this man. I want him to win. I liked him as Jim. I liked the Quiet Place. I like his wife, Emily Blunt. Like, I like this guy. You know what I mean? This ain't it, John. I know what you were trying to do. You're trying to do something profound. You're trying to tell a story that really gets to the heart of the thing that happens. But as somebody who's like watching this happen in front of me, like in real life, you missed. You missed. Pixar did a better job in the beginning of Up. They really like go through and show you the emotions of what it's like to actually lose a person. This is not it. You're not doing it right. Like, I'm sitting there watching it. You take this little girl on a journey that I don't care about. You did nothing to make me care about any of this. You set up a mystery to make the movie more interesting, to make me lean into the movie in a way that you don't deserve. You absolutely did not deserve that this entire time. Now, the girl is a great actor. Cailey Fleming has a bright future in front of her. I think she's a great actor. John Krasinski, I even enjoyed you in this film. You were doing some more of like a Robin Williams thing, just like kind of the silly dad out here trying to, keep joy in his daughter's life. Great, but I'm watching this in a theater full of kids, and the kids are not reacting to any of the jokes. The parents are also not reacting to jokes that are placed in there specifically for adults. They weren't reacting to that. The kids weren't enjoying this movie. I'm telling you, this is not good. You should stick to A Quiet Place, or do another drama, or shoot for the Oscars in some other ways. I think that you are talented and you have the skill set to do exactly what you think you can, but this wasn't it. And I get it. You want to diversify your portfolio by saying, I'm not the guy that just does The Quiet Place, but it wasn't it. All right. You didn't capture it. You didn't do a good job. I don't know if you suffered loss. Maybe you have. Maybe you have suffered loss. Maybe you have. And I don't want to be the one to jump on here and be like, well, you don't know anything about it. Maybe you do. But I will say, from this depiction, I don't know that you effectively depicted what it is like to actually lose someone or anything. There was one portion in this where the daughter talks about missing. She talks about missing her mother and how she doesn't want to say goodbye again. Now that made me tear up, because the idea of saying goodbye is the real problem. It's not the suffering of the cancer. It's not like the watching the person. And part of that is the problem. Like, watching somebody suffer is like part of it. You know what I mean? But like the saying goodbye and the missing a person, like that matters. And for you to make something like this and completely miss the mark, like have all these heartwarming, you used all these creatures in this heartwarming thing. Like Inside Out did a better job than this. Inside Out did a better job of showing, like, and there was nobody dies in Inside Out, but they did a very good job of talking about the idea there is an imaginary friend in Inside Out. I think his name is Bing Bong, or Mr. Bing Bong. There is an imaginary friend in Inside Out. And I think, like, the process of talking about what it's like to actually be forgotten, because there are stakes to Mr. Bing Bong or whatever his name is. Y'all know what it is. You're yelling at me right now. So I'm saying, like, to know that exists, and to know that something like that is out there, and to come out with something that I don't think was enjoyable for kids, and I certainly wasn't enjoyable for the parents that were there. It was boring. It missed the mark. I didn't like it. It almost made me not like you, John Krasinski. But I know you're talented. I know you have better ideas in there. And I think that count this one as a miss. I don't care. And like, you might hold it dear to your heart and be like, well, this is the one I like, so-and-so. You need to take the feedback from people when they're telling you, this ain't it. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. I don't think you did it. I don't think you did it. With all of that being said, I give it a 1-star rating. It wasn't 2, but the more I talk about it, the more I realize there are better examples out there to do something like this effectively. Pixar literally flipped through their entire catalog. Toy Story 3 does a very good job of dealing with loss and growing up and what that's like, the dichotomy between, like, come on, man, you could do it. These examples already existed. That's all you had to do was go look at what already exists out there and say, what am I trying to add to this tale? Like, what does this mean? Now, I'm sure you might even be arguing with me saying, like, hey, man, you don't know nothing about me or my experience or anything I did. And I don't. And you're right. And this isn't And this isn't really to attack the experience of John Krasinski, but I just know that you can do better than this. I know that you can. And maybe I caught it at the wrong time. Like I said, I'm home with my mom on home hospice care. I got out to see this. I had to pay $17 to see this film. Maybe I feel spicy about that as well. Like, I'm trying to make these episodes. You always need a break from the house, from like being in there. It's a very intense time, you know, like, and I can't imagine what it would be like for a child. I can't imagine what it would be like for a child. I'm 40, so I can't imagine what it would be like for a child to go through what I'm going through right now. So I think part of it is to say, if you're going to nail that depiction, like really make me feel it. And I think, yes, you made a kids movie, but there's other kids movies that did a better job of depicting these types of big and complicated feelings, and you didn't get it. You didn't get it, unfortunately, and I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. I didn't make the movie. So 1 of 5 stars. You know what? I'll give you 1.5 because the acting wasn't that bad. So 1.5 of 5 stars. The acting from Cailey Fleming. I do not care about Steve Carell being in this movie. I don't care. I don't care. I love Steve Carell. And I want to be clear. I love Steve Carell. Don't care that he was in this movie. Like, leave me alone. 1.5 of 5 stars. And I know some of y'all might be listening to this being like, is Ronald going to feel this way when he watches it again? You watch it. You watch it and you tell me what you think. I'm not making this up. Especially, I promise you, this was the right movie for me to see at this time because I'm proud. Yo, whew, all right. 1.5 of 5 stars. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios. I mixed this episode, and I'm fairly certain that I'm peaking, and I'm going to have to deal with that tomorrow when I mix this to send it out to y'all. I'm the one that's doing the mixing now, and it is not easy. But I'm improving every week. I think I'm getting a little bit better. I'm hitting the marks a little bit better than before. Hopefully it continues to improve. But if I never get there, you know what you can do to help? You can contribute to the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Leaving the Theater. When you contribute to the Patreon, you help us offset costs like mixing, like hosting, things that cost us money every year, things that cost us money every month. You help us offset those costs. That is very, very helpful. I drive very far to see some of these movies, even for press screenings. Like, there are a lot of costs that are incurred. I do not get paid to watch any of this stuff. I am doing it because I enjoy watching movies. But eventually, it's like there is a lot of time and effort that goes into making one episode of Leaving the Theater. So if you are so inclined, you can contribute at patreon.com/Leaving the Theater. You can do it for as low as $7 a month. It's not even that expensive. If you feel like jumping in there, please do. It would be a big help. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about If, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studio shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios and on Twitter at OhitsBigRon Stu. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.